computer is picking up a strange signal. Here, sir, you better take a look at it.
Hello, and welcome to episode 165 of Life Through a Prism with your host, Rob Tierney. In this episode, we're going to look at an article in the lgbtqia category, specifically transgender, going in the Wayback Machine to 1890, with an article from lgbtqnation.com entitled A Secret Trans Support Group Bet Above a Brothel in 1890s Manhattan. It May Have Changed the World. Written by Molly Sprayregen, dated July 24th, 2026. She called it the Underworld. In 1890s Manhattan, Jenny June, a 20-something self-described androgynon, found a home within a vast, covert network of gender and sexual misfits, whose mutual existence proved to one another that they weren't flukes of nature or medical oddities, but rather natural parts of our mystical universe. In her 1922 autobiography, The Female Impersonators, June recalled her time spent at Paris Hall, the hub of the underworld, located at what is now 32 Cooper Square near Washington Square Park. Paris Hall was a nickname patrons dubbed Columbia Hall, a brothel and a saloon chock full of sex workers and other members of the city's queer subculture seeking to connect. Anti-vice investigators described it as a space where filthy and abominable practice took place. During one of her early visits to the establishment in 1895, June discovered it, quote, was the androgynon headquarters, or fairy as it was called at the time, unquote. She was anxious, she said in her book, to meet as many people like her as possible, and it wasn't long before three folks who went by the aliases Roland Reeves, Manana Scott, and Prince Pansy approached her with an offer. A score of us have formed a little club, said Reeves, according to June's account. The Cercle Hermaphroditos, for we need to unite for defence against the world's bitter persecution. It is only because she accepted this invitation that we know anything at all about this little club, which, as it turns out, left a very big imprint on our world today. The Cercle Hermaphroditos is the earliest known trans advocacy group in the nation, and almost everything we know about it comes from June's writing. In her book, she describes the group as a safe space to not only dress and act the way she felt most comfortable, but also to explore what their identities meant in the context of a wider world that classified them as nothing more than degenerates. The politics of gender. An underworld, June wrote in The Female Impersonators, exists in all cities of any size because human nature is what it is, and because of the social usages decreed by the blind overworld. A declaration like that was revolutionary at the time. June recognised that queer people were not only everywhere, but also that it wasn't they who were the problem. Iman Schlotterbeck, a postdoctoral teaching associate in English at Northeastern University who studies trans literature, told LGBTQ Nation that trans writers throughout history tend to think of themselves as uniquely afflicted with some sort of freakish medical problem. That way of thinking, she explained, separates them from any possibility of solidarity and from thinking about it as a political problem. As such, the fact that the group came together in solidarity at all, despite no record of them taking part in public protests or advocacy, signifies a big shift in how trans people saw themselves. They weren't freaks or weirdos or medically afflicted. They were part of an oppressed class. June, Schlotterbeck explained, was deeply concerned with trans women, their safety walking the streets, their safety from police and being incarcerated, their safety from sexual violence, their ability to be open about who they are around their families. She's thinking about this as a political problem with legal ramifications, not purely or primarily as a psychological or medical problem. June was significantly ahead of her time, Schlotterbeck explained, as trans writings going well into the 1960s still show trans women viewing themselves as unique cases. June indeed wrote that her goal was to save thousands of innocent stepchildren of nature from an aggregate of tens of thousands of years in prison and bring about a repeal of the laws under which they are incarcerated. and which are still in the codes because civilised man has not yet entirely emerged from the prejudice and superstition of the Dark Ages. She said she wanted to put a stop to the continuous string of murders of these stepchildren, and to save hundreds of these superlatively melancholy sexual intermediates from suicide, as a result of bitter persecution by those who pride themselves on the fact that in their own case, sex has been thoroughly differentiated. Joshua Baston Cole-Kurtz, a visiting assistant professor of gender, sexuality and intersectional justice at Hobart and William Smith Colleges, told LGBTQ Nation that despite how little we know about it, the Cercle Hermaphroditos was no doubt critical in paving the way toward the modern trans rights movement. The group signified the beginnings of trans solidarity and community in the face of unending hate. Without it, and others like it, he said, there would be no Stonewall. The Two Lives of Jenny June. Born the fourth of 11 children to a middle-class Puritan family in 1874 Connecticut, June knew from a young age she was a girl. As a kid, she was obsessed with girls' clothing and with acting like a girl as accurately as possible. I would seek boy acquaintances that I might display my skill in female impersonation, she wrote, adding that to pass life as far as possible like a girl was the very essence of existence for which I was willing to sacrifice everything else. At 16, she finally acknowledged to herself that she was a male in name only. She was also well educated. She attended college in New York City, and for a short time she went to graduate school, though she was expelled when word got out about her gender identity. As an educated white man of letters by day, June considered herself to be living a double life, one in the overworld and one in Manhattan's salacious underworld where she found Priestess Hall. When Reeves, Lescaut and Pansy invited her to join the Cercle Hermaphroditos, they made it clear they only included extreme types that liked to doll themselves up in feminine finery. The word transgender did not exist back then, but the people June met referred to themselves as everything from bisexuals to fairies and to androgynes to female impersonators. The world would call our hobby insanity, went a conversation among the group recounted by June. But the explanation is that we were created psychic females who yearn for the dress and role of that sex, to feel skirts flapping about our ankles, and nevertheless nature has been so cruel as to incarnate our women's souls in the abhorred male body. And another discussion. In such strange ways, a continuous string of both men, women and women men are being struck down in New York for no other reason than loathing for those born bisexual. And public opinion forbids publication of the facts of bisexuality, which, if generally known, would put an end to these mysterious murders of innocence. The group numbered about 20 people, who June described as highly cultured, ultra-androgynous, aged 18 to 40, some of whom did nothing particularly remarkable beyond their chronic female impersonation sprees. They permanently rented a room on Priestess Hall's second floor, where they kept a closet of women's clothing they could change into upon arrival, so they never had to walk the streets in fear. When they gathered, they spoke about dating, makeup and fashion, and about what it meant to be born in the wrong bodies and the ever-present danger it posed in their lives. Questions unanswered. There remain many unanswered questions about the Cercle Hermaphroditos and the life of Jenny June. Historians, in fact, don't even know her real name. In both her writings and her life in the underworld, she used 5 aliases: Raphael Werther, Ralph Werther, Earl Lynn, Jenny June, and Pussy. But considering the female impersonators provides the only evidence of the Cercle Hermaphroditos, Schlotterbeck said some question if the group ever existed. We know the building that she met with these people, Priestess Hall, would have had other trans women and sex workers, and people who straddled the line between modern definitions of gay men and trans women. But whether or not that was a concrete organisation or kind of a loose network, it isn't clear to me. But why would June make it up? I think she's trying to remember it as something more official, Schlotterbeck says. What's interesting about her is she's able to keep this dual identity, where she has this middle upper class educated person of letters identity, and then she's also able to live among a sexual underworld filled with other sex workers and Johns and immigrants and people who are not of her class. But Schlotterbeck has stopped focusing on whether or not the group was real. emphasising it is significant either way. Even the concept of it, she explained, shows a major challenge to the way trans women were thought of and the way politics could be done at the time. Colkertz is sceptical June would have concocted the group in her imagination. Some of the work I do is based on the idea of objects absent from the archive. It's not that they didn't exist, it's that they've been destroyed. So if anything, the lack of evidence is even more support for me. There's more that was probably either disposed of or dismissed or eradicated, because that is also unfortunately the legacy of queer history, the elimination of that history. He added that part of the reason history like this is not well documented is that it was meant to be hidden in the first place. Silence was necessary, he said. Schlotterbeck also posited that June may have been the only member brave enough or educated enough or who lived long enough to document the group's existence. It was a very dangerous time for trans people, after all. A constant theme in her writing, Schlotterbeck said, is a tragedy of the many trans women she knows who have died either by suicide or murder or poverty. The boldness of the imagination. June participated in the Cercle Hermaphroditos for less than a year. Staying clear of Paris's Hall after a police raid made her too fearful to return. But clearly, the group made a big enough impression to take up space in her life story. Whether real or imagined, organised or loose, the Cercle Hermaphroditos represents a turning point in trans history, one that has clearly had ripple effects into today's activism. June's story proves that trans organising is deeply embedded in American history. The Cercle is not just a standalone historical event, Colkertz said. It's a space that has generated other spaces and probably come from other spaces that pre-existed that we also don't know about. It's people in a very disparate situation, getting together to make each other's lives a little bit better, Schlotterbeck added. So the two big lessons from that are the boldness of the imagination to take an issue and say, we're going to reframe it to meet our needs. We're going to think about this issue in the way that is useful and necessary for us, not in the way that is being received to us. And two, thinking about it when we don't have state support, when we're dealing with carceral repression and sexual violence. When we feel powerless, we're still able to show up for each other and do loose mutual aid, even if it's difficult and dangerous. Till next time, take care and bye for now.